Hi, I'm Joe Connolly with Neil A. Caruso with more business insights for you from business owners across the New York area. Today, we want to introduce you to Rob Braylow, who owns two businesses in Long Island City, where we understand business is good. His two businesses are Blue Streak Wines and Spirits and also Boulevard Wine Bar. But, Rob, tell us about some ways that you accidentally discovered during COVID that have led to new ways of operating your business, and you're continuing some of these ideas today.
Well, definitely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. One of the major things that everyone did during COVID was they moved online. And in moving online, I did a little bit more with my website, especially at the wine store, where we started offering specials. We did a little bit more focused releases for people that are interested in things like tequila and whiskey and wine, and really started putting programs together for those groups. At the wine bar, we started doing a lot of to-go packaging, a lot of tasting kits for different wines and cocktails, and those worked out really well for the bar.
Commercial Observer says that maybe your business and others near you also opened up a counter on the sidewalk where it turned out you got to talk to people who you hadn't spoken to before, if I understand correctly.
Something like that. So for the store, we actually put a table across the door and turned it into more of a kiosk. And so with that, it was a lot more direct interaction with our customers. They weren't allowed to browse, so they really relied on our expertise. And in talking with them, we got to know them, we got to know their tastes, and really got to focus on what it is they wanted most of all, rather than, when you walk into any kind of retail store nowadays, you're just overwhelmed with the list of things in front of you. This kind of kiosk idea gave it much more of a personal touch, much more of kind of a curated feel for the customer.
That
And
must
same
have
thing for
been
the bar.
priceless. That must have been priceless market research that happened accidentally. What were those discussions like?
Oh, I mean, you get a sense of what people want in the market, and you kind of hear what their voices say versus what they actually mean. For instance, when someone's looking for a light wine and they tell you they really like Malbec or Cabernet, that means they're drinking heavy wine, but they think light wine is the way to go. And so you start a conversation with them and gives it a little more of an educational touch so that they know what they're asking for more and you know what it is they mean. And you're right, it's absolutely invaluable.
And that proves to the customer your expertise. Is your business up over pre-COVID, Rob?
I would say yes, definitely.
Wow.
The wine store is up. The bar's been closed for renovations recently. We're doing a whole new revamp and hope to launch by the end of the month. A new menu, new cocktails, and it's going to be a wonderful place to be.
Well, Neil,
Yeah, Rob, it's interesting you say listen to your customers. I wonder if their standards are higher post-pandemic now that they're, back to going to bars and other establishments. I mean, you can definitely feel the excitement.
Definitely feel the excitement, and they want to know, they want to be educated, and they want to feel that you're giving them that personal touch, and it makes the best sense. Especially when now that people are getting a little bit choosier and a little bit pickier in terms of what they're spending their money on, they really kind of hone in on what's important to them. And if you can pick up on that, you can have a really great long-term relationship with that customer where they get what they want, you get great business, and everyone wins.
How else has your industry changed since COVID?
Gosh, the wine and spirits industry has completely been flipped upside down twice, I'd say, between the shipping issues and the supply issues, lots of different inflationary issues. And then also the introduction of ready to drink cocktails has really been huge. A lot of people, went home in March of 2020 and started pouring themselves drinks and realized, maybe I could get into it. Maybe I want to know more. And then started playing around with those kind of cocktail ingredients. And then came out of COVID and out of the pandemic lockdowns and said, oh gosh, I really don't have time for this anymore. And really started to get into pre-made cocktails that they can just pour and go.
Gotcha. Is there an opportunity you saw there that has enabled growth?
I would say that the pre-made cocktail growth industry has just exploded in the last year. There's every single brand on the market has now their own standardized cocktails. Every liquor group has those. And I'm seeing ones that are made from kombucha. I'm seeing ones made from sake. And so it's been really fun to explore those tastes and flavors and see what I can bring to my customer base.
Aside from your two businesses, how's business in Long Island City? What are other business owners telling you? What's the situation there?
Generally, I'd say restaurants are still struggling. You see a lot of people who, instead of going out 3-4 times a week, are now going out 1-2 times a week to their favorite establishment. I'd say the retail establishments all survived COVID decently well, but they've had to change from the more in-person touch to the more impersonal online aspect of things. And so finding ways to be more personable online has been very helpful to them. But in general, I've seen a lot of people come into Long Island City, people move out of Long Island City. And I think that in terms of number of people in the area, I think we're back to pretty much a relatively normalized amount.
Neil?
Have you made any advances into e-commerce?
I've had my website up since I started the businesses. And I think it was just having it right at the right time that my e-commerce business really took off. In the United States, there's a lot of laws that govern the shipping and sale of alcohol. So it's a little bit of a minefield in terms of just generalized e-commerce and where you can ship. But certainly for customers all over the New York area, I've been able to really keep their attention and keep them involved in my business by using my e-commerce and different, email marketing and just being available on social media.
I sometimes find it interesting to ask this question just to wrap up. What did you do before you had your first business and now two? What were you doing before this?
Before I was a business owner, I was working in public relations. I was actually working for a couple different wine and spirits category clients. I did some work with Dunkin' Donuts in terms of public relations and really a bunch of agency kind of stuff. But yeah, I was an educator in a different way.
There's almost always some tie that helps explain somebody's success in their new field. And you do a great job on public relations for yourself now.
Thank you so much. I think that there's no bad experience. You can always take something and use it somewhere else down the line. You may not know how or why, but some way it always fits.
Good point. Thanks a lot, Rob Braylow.
Thanks for having me.